Hello and welcome everyone to today's tutorial on advanced tactics. Here you will learn all about the basics of these tactics and how to implement them. I suggest testing these out yourselves as soon as possible, as most of them might be removed in the upcoming update. First up, flowers. What are flowers? In short, they allow you to minimize your losses by distributing the damage between multiple friendly stacks. This allows you to deal heavy losses to an attacker, insta-kill enemies, and minimize losses from enemy bombardment. So, there are two methods for making a flower. First method consists of 3 steps. Step number 1 is splitting off a unit or more depending on how large you want your petals to be. Step number 2 is giving that unit a move order to a nearby location. And finally, step number 3 is giving that unit a delay order. However, you need to do this as soon as possible so the unit remains at the same dot. And you repeat this process until the flower is complete. Second method consists of 4 steps and can only be done on PC version. Step number 1 is giving the amount of units you want to make a flower out of a move order. Step number 2 is giving that stack a delay order. Step number 3 is splitting off the stack from the unit, which is the opposite of method 1. And step number 4 is using add target command before ordering the entire stack to move. This retains the original delay time, thus removing the necessity to add delay after each split. And finally, you repeat the steps 3 and 4 until the flower is complete. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make flowers. Now, as far as I know, there are 2 types of flowers. Type A is more complicated if you can't do basic math and you need 2 things. 1, equal amount of petals on each road connected to the city. And 2, central stack that is larger than the petals. Of course, this is only doable within the cities, and I was told this is the correct way to do a flower. Type B is more simple and the one I use most frequently. You just move each petal on the same road, which creates a stem-like visual, thus a flower. There are a few key things you must know about the flower formation. All stacks need to be on the same dot. The number of stacks or petals and the size of petals determine the strength of your flower. For example, I created a flower with 1 infantry per petal, which is risky as it can create a domino effect causing the flower to die sooner. But this allows me to make more petals, thus making my flower stronger. You need to find the balance between the two in any given situation. Low morale units will die quickly, thus rendering your flower useless. If the move target of petals are too close, they will merge even if you have them on delay. If enemy is within 5 kilometers of attack range, do not give any stack within the flower any orders. If you do so, it will trigger an attack, thus rendering your defensive flower somewhat useless. And finally, the more rounds combat lasts, the weaker your flower gets. Next up, offensive flower. You can use both methods I mentioned to set up an offensive flower. In this example, I'm using method 2. The only difference between offensive and defensive flower is the final step, where you set the delay to 0 in order to march your flower in a formation. There are a few key things that you should know though. Petal composition plays an important role, so experiment with different unit compositions for best results. Outnumbering your enemy with 4-to-1 ratio allows you to insta-kill in most cases. If done wrong, you will definitely lose your entire army. This tactic should not be used if you don't know what you're doing. Balance between number of petals and their size is key for the success of offensive flower. And finally, make sure that each petal has the same speed. Artillery, for example, is a lot slower than infantry. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can use offensive flower for landing as well. But from my personal experience, you should be very careful because you will still lose a lot of units. Lemmings is an interesting tactic that can be used in specific situations. To set up Lemmings formation, you first need to set up an offensive flower formation. What's the difference? Well, instead of cancelling delay on all petals at once, you cancel delay per petal. This can be done every 50 seconds or every 1 minute. The results are inconclusive for me, so it's hard to tell which is more effective. You can also combine Lemmings with offensive flower by cancelling delay on multiple petals at once, thus attacking with Lemmings and mini flowers combo. And finally, from my experience, Lemmings serves as a good counter to flowers. And in short, Lemmings, flowers, and normal stacks form a rock, paper, scissors system. Lemmings is effective versus flowers, flowers are effective versus normal stacks, and normal stacks are effective versus Lemmings. This, of course, is my observation, and I can't really vouch for this. Hit and run allows you to fire at enemy artillery without them firing back, but it requires high activity and careful planning. How to do it? Make sure that your artillery range slightly crosses the center of the enemy stack's dot. As soon as that happens, as shown here, order your artillery to fire, wait for the cooldown to trigger, and fall back. This tactic has been removed, however, but I still want to share it since it was my favorite. Teleportation. Teleport allows you to move your units faster across the map. This tactic uses the basic mechanic of the game, which merges units that are within 1 kilometer of each other. How to do it? Step number 1. Detach the fastest unit from your stack and move it in the same direction. Step number 2. Wait for the unit to be 1 kilometer further than your stack. Step number 3. Stop the unit first and then the main stack. The stack will teleport to the closest stationary unit, which is why you need to stop the fast-moving unit first. The teleport also works with the borders and friendly cities. Of course, you can also combine this tactic with hit and run tactic. Personally, I think this is more of an exploit than tactic, and it requires a lot of micromanagement, but let me know what you think. Bastion Defense allows you to place units in front of your province and still gain defensive bonus that the fortress provides. Of course, for this tactic to work, you need a fortress. How to do it? Well, step number 1. Order your units to move on the road and immediately set delay. Step number 2. Repeat this for all the roads connected to the province. Step number 3. Cancel delay on all units. Step number 4. Wait until units are 3 to 4 kilometers from the city and order them to stop. And finally, step number 5. Make sure that all units have fortress defensive bonus, and you can combine it with flower defense to make it stronger. Things to note: 1 minute travel time on friendly territory for infantry is 1 kilometers. 5 kilometer attack range allows you to combat lock incoming enemies, potentially preventing them from attacking your units within the city or behind the city. Splash damage, however, still applies, which means that all stacks within the formation can potentially soak up all the damage. Unfortunately, I have not tested this tactic myself, but if you do, let me know how it goes. And the last tactic I want to leave you with is splitting. Splitting allows you to avoid incoming bomber and fighter damage completely. To do this, however, you need to be constantly active. So, how does this work? If enemy planes are attacking your stack, you can split it to create a new army. In this case, if the enemy plane is attacking my 7th Infantry Division, I can split off the majority of my army and create a new division. The enemy planes, however, will still target the original infantry division, in this case brigade, and I can thus move that brigade out of the way, forcing the enemy to either attack this one infantry or to go back to their air base and give a new attack order. The tips for this tactic are to make sure to split once enemy planes are halfway or near you. This way you force the enemy to remain in the air longer in case they notice and change the target. And finally, make sure your decoy is 5 kilometers away from any city or units. But wait, there's more! In case you haven't played the game for a while, or if you're a new player, well, do I have a gift for you. You can press the special link down below and get 13,000 gold marks and 1 month of High Command for free. Hope this helps you get more invested into the game and gives you valuable insight on advantages of High Command. So again, click the link in the description down below to get your rewards. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this tutorial. I hope this broadens your horizon on what is possible in Supremacy 1914 and helps you have more fun on the battlefield. Some might consider these as exploits, but personally I think most of them are valuable tactics that elevate the game to another level. That being said though, I would very much like to know what you think about them, so I'm looking forward to your comments down below. And if you like me making these type of videos, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I promise I won't spam your notifications. And as always, don't forget to enjoy the game.